Welcome back, everyone.
Yay, my hotkey worked.
Congratulations. I'm gonna go
You know,
check and
I
see. Go ahead.
was gonna say OBS. Now that I've been using it for recording lately, is there a visual cue on your screen that you can make happen?
I don't
Like you
know
could
because
with
mine
Fraps?
records on another computer. Remember?
Oh yeah.
So it doesn't. They don't talk in that way. I mean, what I do is your OBS visible to you, or is it?
It is. It's on my other monitor, but I have to look over at the other monitor. I really like the one thing I liked about Fraps was the little counter was there and it turned to your FPS counter and it turned red when you were recording.
Right.
So it was
I always
real
turn that
easy to
off,
see.
but yeah, it is real
I
convenient.
kept it on in the corner because it was just a nice visual cue that I was recording.
Right.
And but I was just curious if OBS had like anything that I didn't know to turn on, but whatever.
No, I normally just glance over every so often and see what that recording number is first time, and that's about it.
I'm trying to figure out which way do we want to branch, because we talked about a water thing. I see you way the hell over there in the distance.
Yeah, I'm seeing where the bottom of the ocean is. 44 is the bottom of the ocean over here.
So do we want to dig down?
Ravine that we hit. So here's my idea. I think we dig towards the main island from the pyramid until we hit this ravine, and then we make some kind of underwater glass bubble, maybe.
Okay.
Like come over here. You see this ravine? Should be about right here, I think. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Let me get some air and then come down. Okay. Yeah, this ravine was definitely a deep ravine.
Yeah. So we could hit that, and then I don't know, make some kind of water feature thing. Maybe this could be the
water
farm
feature. It's our outdoor deck.
Yeah. Maybe this could be where the farming wing is at. Since there's like water, we could use like a natural flow from the ocean or something. I don't know. Just an idea.
But you want to get down to
40.
This is 47.
Yeah, I think 43 was what the lowest spot I hit before I went into the ravine.
So you want to get down to 43 as the roof?
Yeah. I think where we're at this point, we could stop expanding outward, and if we want to dig down any further before we branch,
I will say, I've had a lot of comments that say if you go down, you better go out.
Why?
I don't know, like people, because at one point you had talked about continuing to dig down and not necessarily having to expand it, and I've literally just had people say, like, if you go down, you better go out. Basically, like, it's not going to be right if you don't also expand out.
I don't think that I just fucking took off. I just literally flew like I was Peter Pan for no reason.
Was it like me jumping up this 1.5 block height?
Kinda. I just
randomly, like
I just started flying straight up. I mean, I don't think they have my vision. They don't know what I've seen in my mind.
That's possibly true. The viewers on my channel might not have your vision.
Because I really think that, we get out to a certain distance and then we dig all the way down to bedrock, but the branches out each direction don't go out at bedrock. But I'd like to dig all the way down to bedrock.
So let me try to get down to where we're talking about. So 43, you want that as the ceiling.
Well, not the ceiling for this room.
For the hallway that goes out there.
Yeah.
So it'd have to be, you probably don't want it to be right on our head. You want it at least to be 3 wide.
Right.
Or 3 tall, I mean. So we have to go dig down to 39. So this is where I'm at right here, is at 39.
Yeah, I think it's fine to stop going out at this point.
Okay. I mean, we have there's a lot of digging to do, and if it does look terrible for some reason, we can always go back and finish digging out.
Right. Because I was thinking pillars in each corner with maybe like some dark oak or something like that, like something that is a completely different color from the colors we have right now. I don't know.
No, I'm okay with that. I think we can start digging that and see what it ends up looking like. Because all it is us not digging. If we do end up saying, "Oh, we have to dig out as well," we still have to dig this area.
Right.
There's no way we look at it in this area is like somehow we're missing. We're doing extra. We're not doing extra work.
Right.
Down to
makes sense.
Right. So gotta ask, as a parent now, what random things have you come across being a dad that you didn't necessarily plan that you were going to have to come across, but after the fact you were like, holy shit, I acted exactly how I needed to act in that situation?
I know
it's a weird way to ask the question, and maybe I can explain my scenario first and it will help you.
Okay.
Basically, so Julia's family was here a couple weeks ago. Her sister was staying with us from New Orleans, not the one that lives in DC, but the other one that's from New Orleans. She was up staying with us. And, of course, Jack, the oldest, is running around, having fun with everybody, doing his thing, getting all riled up, and just, mainly has more energy the more people that are in the room than, he has just in general. I walk over into the kitchen at some point, and I'm doing something. I don't even know what I was doing in the kitchen. I don't know if I was getting breakfast or like what I was trying to do, but it was nothing like important. I was just there doing something. And I look over and I realize that Jack has made his way into the kitchen, which is, it's an open kitchen. It's like he comes in there all the time. No big deal. But wasn't paying super amount of attention to him or the things that were around, because it's not just me anymore. Now it's a bunch of people in this house. Like they're, Julia's sister is staying with us. Her mom and dad were also in town, so they were around and like, doing things. And so it's full house in general.
Yeah.
And I realize she says something like, "Oh," and I see him pulling something off of the counter above him.
Lord.
And he's all of a sudden just starts, and like my mind isn't even triggering like what he's doing at this point. It's just kind of like he's doing it and it's happening so fast that I'm not really paying attention. And he all of a sudden just starts screaming. And what I realized had happened was Julia's sister had come and gotten a cup of coffee. Coffee pot hadn't been on for 2 hours, so it's like cold coffee from the coffee pot. She had put the cup of coffee in the microwaved it for a couple of minutes, put it on the counter. For whatever reason, Jack walked in the room, which is something that he never does, and that's why it's another thing that's very weird. Decided he saw this cup that he wanted to have whatever was in it. So he grabbed it and pulled it down. And as he was pulling it down, he was very careful with the pulling down of the cup. So it's not like it splashed on his face or anything, but he sloshed it, which made it spill over the edge and spill onto his hands. And right when he started screaming was when I looked over and realized like the reaction that he was having was because he started realizing the coffee in his hands was spilling onto his hand was hot.
Yeah.
So it was like burning his hand. And he ended up like it sloshed a little bit more, and then he dropped it, and of course the glass like shattered all over the floor because he dropped it. But he was like immediately just like crying in pain. And as like Julia's yelling from the other room, "Oh my God, what's wrong?" Because she's not even seeing like what's happening. Like she just hears him screaming out of nowhere, like and just clearly a pain scream. And I was standing right next to him, and it's weird because for me, the instincts kicked in to literally just grab him. I kind of understood briefly enough what was going on that all I did was pick him up, go to the sink, throw on the cold water, and force his hands under the cold water.
Yeah.
And it was something that, like, as I'm holding him under the cold water, my mind is catching up with the scenario of what is happening.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, holy shit. Like, that was just like instinct to get this done. And like I don't even know what just happened, but it just happened because I just did it.
Right. I've always heard.
And luckily, like his hand, like he had his thumb got like the worst of it on his like right hand, and for like a day he had like a red mark on his thumb. But for the most part, there was no like major burn or anything like that.
Yeah.
And I think partially attributed to the fact that he was instantly in cold water, and then I got him to like play around for a while because he wanted to play with like water and colored dyes. So I filled up like this tub of water and let him start putting food coloring in the water, and I put ice in the water too. Yeah. So he was just playing in the water because he thought it was cool afterwards. So it like not only took his mind off of it, but also just kept his hands in cold water.
So I've always been told to not put cold water on burns.
You put cold water, you don't put ice.
I've always been told to put warm water on burns. When I worked at a restaurant, that's what they always said to do if you ever got a burn. To not put cold water, and a doctor told me this one time too. And I'm not trying to like say you did the wrong thing or anything like that. In my life. But the reason why the way the doctor described it to me is that it's such a difference between that your body can. Hold on, let me just Google this.
So you know what? Whatever you're about to say, like it makes sense. Like the concept of cold water, quote unquote, on a burn is stopping the burning.
Right.
So putting warm water that's not scalding hot water, no matter what, is also going to stop the burning and maybe be less of a shock. And maybe it's because you can tolerate it better, because Jack clearly did not want to tolerate the cold water for a while. I had to like force his hands under it until I, had him start playing with the water with the food coloring, because then it was like something fun. It's kind of like when it's a little bit different. I told you the story about the pepper in the eye and all that stuff, and having to force him to like flush his eyes out with water. That was more difficult because that was clearly causing more pain. Yeah. But it had to be done type of deal. Whereas this was more just like holding your hands under cold water. It'll hurt after a minute. And so he didn't want it to happen. And warm water probably would have made it so he was less against it. So I guess the concept would make sense, unless you're saying there's a physiological reason why warm water is actually better than cold water for.
There is. Apparently it helps your skin begin the process of healing. Like there's a whole like I don't want to try to read you this medical journal.
No, please read
it. The medical journal is written in words I don't even want to.
Is it in Spanish? You can find the English translation of it.
Hold on, I'm trying to find like a TLDR.
Most journals, well, yeah. Okay, depending on what journal it is, it could have.
There's a conclusion section.
If it's broken down into the 4 concepts, and the last one being or the third one being conclusion, the last one being discussion. Jump to the conclusion, and that will actually tell you what the article like finalizes. Yeah, I guess medical journals. Okay, really
it says in order to limit damage after burn injury, burn progression has to be prevented. Besides delaying burn progression, the application of warm water provides an additional benefit by improving the microcirculatory perfusion, which translated into increased tissue survival as opposed to cold water.
Okay, so what it's saying is that cold water is going to constrict your blood vessels, which is going to lead to less circulation to the area. Warm water will, quote unquote, I guess I don't know how warm water. Ooh, I almost just died because I fell off the stairs. Holy crap. Warm water will lead to vasodilation in theory, unless your hand is so hot from the burn that it's already vasodilated. But it will not constrict the blood vessels to the point that cold water would, therefore allowing more blood and microphages and white blood cells and such to flow to the area. I guess conceptually and physiologically, that does make sense.
All right, Dr. Jeff.
I mean, that's an accurate statement.
I mean, honestly, though, in the case that you were in, it didn't really matter. He didn't have a major burn, and cold water soothed him, so it's fine.
Yeah, and luckily it was not a major burn because it could have been hot coffee from the I don't know if I ever told you the story. When I was at I used to hang out at Coney Islands all the time. I don't know if you know what a Coney Island is. The in Michigan, all like 24-hour diners, even the non 24-hour ones, but all like stupid little diner places are called Coney Islands.
Okay.
Of some way, shape,
Isn't Coney Island the place near New Jersey?
It's like a New York like amusement park or something like that.
Yeah. Okay.
It's like Coney Islands are supposed to be known for selling Coney dogs. Like that's the thing. Like I don't know why it is a thing, but it's Coney Island. So I grew up diners knowing them as Coney Islands.
Okay.
So when I say Coney Island, that's what I mean. I was hanging out at this one night. We used to hang out at Coney Islands all the time, and I remember one night being there, hearing this crash come from the table across the restaurant, like behind us, and it was a really loud crash. And then all of a sudden, hearing somebody just go, "Breathe, breathe, 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 breathe."
Okay.
And I was like, "What the fuck is going on right now?" And then out of nowhere, you heard this baby like basically catch its breath and just let out this shrieky cry.
What the hell?
Well, what had happened was the person who was at the Coney Island had gotten a coffee, had reached for something, spilled the coffee, and it dumped all over this infant child.
Oh, Jesus.
Who was probably like 2 months old. Like,
oh,
very,
my God.
Very, very young. And that's why it was like she yelled breathe, because I guess she dumped it, and the child just like in shock and horror.
Right.
You could tell it was like one of those, you've seen kids before, like when they cry so hard they can't catch their breath. It was that, but like prior to the crying starting. And then the shriek just came out because like the pain receptors, I don't know, or caught up with the baby and like this, that, the other. And I ran over there, and I was like early 20s. So I was a ski patrol person at the time, but I was not a nurse and like not into much medical except for like on ski hill medical stuff. And you could just tell, like, it was obviously a complete accident because this mother was freaking out. You could just tell that she thought she was just the worst person.
I bet in the so. World I would feel that way too. I mean, it's got to be awful.
We pulled off the like the onesie that the baby had on, and it was just peeling skin.
Oh,
like,
no.
Immediately.
Did y'all call the ambulance immediately?
Oh, yeah. The people at the Coney Island called the ambulance immediately. I yelled for somebody to bring over a bucket of water and some rags. And this woman, I threw some cold rags onto the baby's chest as soon as they got out there. But the woman, like, which made the baby, like, cry a little bit more. And I remember the woman picked up the baby and just kept holding the baby to her chest, going, "Oh, my God, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm so..." Like, you're clearly, like, devastated person for, thinking that she was the worst person in the world. But so devastated to the point where she wouldn't let anybody else try to touch this baby. So this burning mechanism is still going on. And it was so hard to convince this woman to at least let us put these cold rags between her and the baby while she like coddled this screaming baby. But that was and when you're dealing with Coney Islands and diners and things like that, their coffee is way hotter than the average coffee.
Yeah,
they're always got pots running all the time because that's what people are there for, is to drink coffee in the middle of the night. And it was brand new, fresh pot of coffee, probably 210 degrees or something like that, like just under boiling, that had just been poured and dumped all over this baby. That's awful. My God, that was. I can picture those shrieks in my mind all the time because it was so like ear curdling when the baby actually started screaming. So that has never like gone away from my mind. But I also remember, and maybe that's why, I remember her being so unwilling to let anybody else jump in and do anything, that keeping control of the situation and just like letting instincts kick in and doing what needs to get done, despite the child thinking it's a good or bad thing at the time. And I don't know. Maybe I don't know if you've ever had experiences like that with your father. And
I definitely have not.
Wait, what'd you do?
I didn't do anything. The
nothing at all.
the mob farm wasn't working, and he must not be at his computer because I keep asking him, is he in the Nether? And I want to get my pick where I can do something this episode, and can't do anything.
Nothing to see.
He must have been in the Nether because the moment I kicked him, everything started spawning.
I'm sure you had experiences as a father, though, of like.
I can't think of a moment where this an extreme situation has happened where I jumped into action, though. Honestly,
you can't tell me like your daughter's never like fallen down the stairs or like just done something that like tried to run out into the middle of the street and you went and like hip checked a person.
Well, we don't have that sort of thing here. Like there's no there's no street to run out into. There was a time, one time me and Crystal were packing up to go to the beach, and she had wandered off to go see my grandma. My daughter had, and it wasn't a big deal. She walks up there occasionally, so we weren't really worried about it. But then this truck comes over the hill and suddenly pulls off the road, in between my grandma's house and our house. And me and Crystal both had the same thought, like, oh my God, like this truck just came over the hill and hit her, because there's no reason to stop there, at all. And like, that was a moment of extreme panic where her and I both just looked at each other like, holy shit. And we both, like, Crystal just started screaming and running towards my grandma's house. And, I was running right behind her. And then here comes my daughter, like, what the hell's wrong with y'all?
What's wrong with you guys?
Something had fallen off the back of the guy's truck, basically, and he'd stopped to get it.
Sigh of relief,
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that was one of those moments where, you thought you done fucked up for life, basically.
Yeah, we've had those problems where, like, we just have, the little one will be sleeping in the bed, and I'll be in the other room. And it just a couple weeks ago, I'm sitting in the room, and I know he's asleep, and I hear, wah, oh, look, he woke up. Thunk! Oh, fuck. Like, run into the room because he, fell out and was sitting on the floor. But absolutely fine. Like, no issues.
There was a point where my daughter, she was probably a little over 1, and she was jumping around. Well, not jumping around, but rolling around, messing around in the bed. And I kept telling her, I was like, you're going to fall off and you're going to hurt yourself. And she was at the age where really cause and effect hadn't, been ingrained yet. And I kept telling her, like, when you hurt yourself and you're crying, don't look at me because I told you. And again, she wasn't at the age where this means anything to her. And so I kept watching her, and she got really close, and she was going off the edge of the bed. And whenever this happened, I grabbed at her leg to try to like save her, basically, and I made it way worse because now I had a hold of her leg.
Did you like knock?
Yeah, she went over the edge of the bed and like rammed her damn head into the bed frame, basically. So she would have probably just fallen on the floor and been fine, but instead I grabbed her and she cracked her skull right into the metal part of the bed. So I'm pretty sure I made that one worse.
Clearly she was fine.
Yeah. She cried, and I was like, I'm so sorry. And I was like, but remember, I did tell you.
Didn't tell your daddy was going to be the one to make it worse, but I told you something bad would happen.
Yeah.
I remember, I guess I don't remember this, but my mom tells me about it. It's funny, my dad won't tell me about this, and he's the actual real like savior in this story. When I was a little kid, I think I was like 3. We used to go to this place called Viamede somewhere in Canada. It was like this weird, like, stay at these cabins and there's boats and like all this stuff. And my family used to do like this yearly trip there. And I guess they had this old lighthouse that was all these cement stairs going up to the very top of this old lighthouse with no railing because, this is back in like the early 80s. And this lighthouse is probably built in like the 40s or 50s or something like that.
Yeah.
And I guess I went running up the stairs because I wanted to get to the top first. And I went to the side and fell right over the edge.
Oh, my God.
The 8th floor.
Did they catch you or what?
My dad apparently caught me by the ankle.
Holy shit.
Reached over and one-handed ankle grabbed me when my head was like straight down towards
You could have died. You probably would have died.
I could easily be just a dead guy right now.
Wow.
And, that's like, luckily my dad had the reflexes of a fucking cat and a fucking ninja, It's, It saved my life back then, and he never talks about it. My mom talks about it,
Right.
but he never mentions that. Like,
That's crazy. We went to Cape Hatteras recently, and me and my dad had went to Cape Hatteras Lighthouse when I was younger, and I didn't make it to the top. I got about halfway up, and I was just like, I can't do it. I'm dying.
I also didn't make it to the top.
Yeah,
I made about 8 floors up, and then tried to go down really fast.
But so we went recently, and they've moved the Cape Hatteras Lighthouse because it was about to fall in the ocean. I remember when there was all this drama about it here in North Carolina when they were moving it, and everyone was up in arms about them moving the lighthouse and all of this. But anyways, they ended up finally doing it. So whenever me and my daughter went this year, it wasn't where I had remembered it. But you can see the spot where it is, which is now basically ocean. So if they had not moved it, it probably wouldn't still be there. But the thing that was wild to me whenever me and my daughter went and visited it is now when you get there, for one thing, you have to be a certain height to even enter the place. When me and my dad went there, you went and you just walked up in there. There was no cost. It was just this lighthouse. It was no longer in use. And I mean, they would still light it, but it wasn't lit, to
it
save
was
shit.
owned by somebody, and somebody else lived there, and we were trespassing.
Yeah, we were just walking in, and they were like, "Who are you?" And we were like, "We belong here." No, but anyways,
like, fuck you, we own you.
But this time, whenever we went, it's like they completely touristized it. Where you have to buy a ticket to go in, you have to be 44 inches tall to go in, and then you have a set time that you start walking in, and before you can go in, you have to sit and listen to this 10-minute spew about how just take a break on every level. It's about 98 to 105 degrees inside. So
if you're here touring a lighthouse, you're probably old. Relax for a little bit.
But and I wish that they had this shit whenever I was a kid, because I'll tell you, we got in there and I got to that floor where I was like, listen, can we just stop? I'm tired. I want to take a break. My dad was like, we're going. And there wasn't no damn forest person or National Park Service person around to be like, no, you should take a break on every level. And so whenever my daughter was like, let's keep going, I was like, no, remember they said we have to take a break on every level.
the people on the video said, they said.
There wasn't even a damn video. Real person out there waiting to tell you. And I told my daughter, I was like, I didn't make it up to the top of this thing before. And I'm doing it today. And it really wasn't that bad at all. I mean, I made her stop on every level, even if I was like, I could keep going. But we stopped on every level, and we just stood by the window, which had, a real strong breeze. So it wasn't like it was, even though it was over 100 degrees inside of the lighthouse, like getting one of those windows where the breeze is at, it felt all right. But yeah, it was just wild to me how different it was. And granted, it's been probably 20 years since me and my dad went, but just how different it is now, where it's like, take a break. And also,
how old were you when you went?
I was probably 10.
Okay, so I guess old enough. I was gonna say, because I don't remember anything about this lighthouse I'm talking about, but I think, like I said, I was like 3.
Yeah. No, I was old enough. I was old enough to remember it and understand what I was seeing and all that. So I tried to take my daughter to a bunch of. Everyone kept saying you're always on vacation, but I was really trying to take her. I really thought of them more like field trips, because I was trying to take her to places that were educational and would probably be talked about in North Carolina history this year. So like whenever she is reading about this or that, and for the North Carolina history, it'll be like, well, I've been there and I know what that looks like, or I've seen that, and that sort of thing. Was kind of my thought process.
North Carolina has history.
We got a lot of history, man. Rich history.
Yes, a rich history of North Carolina. I know nothing about North Carolina history. Well, maybe it's because I've never been to that place.
You didn't have to take See, I had to take North Carolina history, and then the Texas history was done on a different.
Wait, what? You took a North Carolina history class?
Wait, did the state you lived in not teach the history of that state?
No.
Really? Yeah, that's like a curriculum that happens. Like but Texas did it in a different year, so I had to take Texas state history too. You didn't take state history?
No, I never took a state history related to. I grew up in Michigan. I never took anything related to Michigan state history.
Huh? Oh, I've taken 2 state histories because I moved.
I kind of would like to, because I want to understand the whole concept of like, why is there an Upper Peninsula? Why is this part of this state? Like, it doesn't even make sense.
Well, North Carolina history is really interesting because we have such a diverse biomes and stuff. Like North Carolina history is pretty interesting because we have the mountains and the beaches and all of that, the Outer Banks, like. And we're also one of the first 13 and all that. Sorry, what'd you say?
Any state in the nation, Michigan has like the more lakes than any state in the nation.
Yeah, no, I mean, now I'm not saying Michigan shouldn't have history. Every state should have history.
Well, the thing is, like, I don't understand. Like, Michigan would have a rich history,
right?
That I've never been told anything about. Really,
it's really strange to me. I thought state history was part of
North Carolina and Texas. Both you have to teach the state history.
Yeah. My state history teacher in Texas was awful. What'd you say?
What grade are you talking about?
Now, see, that was the thing here for North Carolina history. You do like a beginner kind of introduction around 2nd or 3rd grade, but then you get the actual like full on book. It's its own class with its own teacher in middle school.
It's a full book?
Yeah. It's its own class. You know how you take U.S. history?
Yeah, it has one book.
Yeah. Well, there's also state history, and it's got its own book too.
Same size book for 1/50th of the other book.
You know what I found? Did I tell you this? Did I tell you that I found out? I'm doing the book fair this week, so I've been at the school all week long. And there's a new librarian, and so I've been getting to know her and talking to her. And
sexy librarian.
No, she's pregnant and she has 2 kids. You know what, though? Actually, I don't know if she's pregnant. I think she is, but I am not going to ask.
That is very wise.
Yeah. But anyway, she was talking about how curriculum changes have happened, and she used to be a history teacher, and she said that they're no longer allowed to teach any history, Civil War or prior, because it's not politically correct.
What?
Yeah, they've removed all Civil War. Any talks of slavery or any of those things are not politically correct, so they can no longer be taught in school. At least here.
What?
Yeah, no, I lost my mind. I was like, but history's not supposed to be politically correct. History is history. It's facts. It's set in stone.
I still have a problem with the fact that you randomly find states or people that are like, you can't teach evolution here because it's political boundaries or something weird like that. And I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, can't teach that the Earth is round because
Yeah, no, I know. Like, where's the final straw here? But that really pissed me off. I was very upset about this.
Ryuski joined again.
Yeah. I'm not longer in the Nether, and we had a conversation.
I'm in the Nether. I'm trying to get my things going. Nothing's happening at this place.
Mm-hmm. He's actually here now, though. We can't just kick him.
I mean, you don't know he's here.
But we're out of time anyway, so we'll catch you guys next time.
This thing does not work at all if somebody's in the Nether, huh?
No, It's completely
just doesn't
useless.
do shit. That's crazy. I'm shocked. Hey, wait, one guy. Woohoo!
All right. Well, thanks, guys. We'll see you next time.
See you guys.